Yeah, Back to the Future.
Oh, that
It'd
was
be
in the
Back to
top
the
8.
Future.
That was definitely in the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
Marty McFly. Yeah.
Better time travel story than the multiverse, eh?
Confusing, the multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Hands
was
down.
pretty straightforward in Back to the Future. Yeah.
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 You're going to change something, come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And-
thought so.
He's now your stepdad. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get started. Thank you for tuning in. We have a couple of really special guests with us on the Bigfoot Press podcast. I'm going to introduce them, Cameron and Shaina Moratti.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome to the big Australia.
It's a
They're
big
in the-
place.
They're under the pump in the next hour or so. A couple of questions to ask them. But do you want to introduce yourselves? So
Yeah, sure.
we're in Brisbane now, and so probably go back as far as you want.
Is it like to when I was born?
No, maybe to maybe
Well,
How you-
yeah,
yeah, maybe to when you were born.
like
we'll
where
go back to, like-
where were you born?
New Plymouth. I was born in New Plymouth.
Yeah.
Shana was born in.
I was born in Waitara.
So you're one of the last to be born in that town, weren't you?
Yeah.
And then they
in the
shut it down.
maternity ward.
Wait, they shut it down?
Not the town, just the maternity
Ward.
ward.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I was
Whereabouts is
thinking,
Waitara?
Whereabouts?
Mm.
Yeah, Waitara is a small town in North Taranaki in New Zealand. So
is that anywhere near Hawera?
yeah,
It's
about 50
an hour
minutes.
away. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to thank my teachers
Oh.
for bringing me into geography because it worked, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
For this moment right now.
I'm feeling so good right now. Oh, all right. Okay. School works. Everybody, school works.
So tell us about your earliest memories growing up.
Ooh.
New Plymouth and Waitara. We'll start with you, Cam.
Earliest memories. We lived on a farm out of Inglewood at Rarapiko, and yeah, my earliest memories is probably picking parsley in cracks of the concrete and bringing it in for mum.
Do you use them?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
She'd go to the garden, but I thought they're in the cracks of the concrete, so I'll collect them instead. uh,
I love it.
yeah, it's, just bizarre first memories, little things like that. Just being home with family, I think. Yeah, just
What's your family makeup? You're one of...
one of what are we siblings? I got three siblings, three sisters. Three sisters,
3 sisters and then yourself.
and then myself. I'm the second oldest. Yeah.
Man, how was that growing up with 3 sisters?
Yeah. No, yeah. They're surely not watching. Oh, look, it was good. It was good. I didn't know anything different, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got brother-in-laws now, so that side of thing as well. But certainly, Dad and I would
Hang out more.
we'd probably did more hunting and fishing together.
Did you have a
just
spot
make
where
sure.
you and Dad would reconvene or like off to if things got a bit...
Safe space?
Yeah, like a safe space and a safety word.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it was pretty relaxed. Yeah.
Hunting and fishing. So, like, anything in particular that, you like when you were going out hunting, like
Yeah, you just you name the month and I'll tell you what we were chasing.
July.
July would be that would be more Dad, but he'd be chasing trout and turangi. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would have been good.
He liked. Yeah.
See, I only said July because that's my birth month.
Oh, okay.
So I was like,
yeah.
I got to say what's going good on July.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So trouts.
Trout, yeah, in the middle of winter. So yeah.
Deer hunting?
Deer hunting, yeah, the raw. That Dad was right into. That Dad did way more hunting than me. I just went on trips every now and then, but yeah, the raw. That's in April. Yeah, and then springtime as well. And
What do you say to people who don't know hunting as a sport? Or
as a sport or
as a I guess was it? You explain it. What were you doing?
Well, Dad would always say
Hunting and gathering?
that the hunting and gathering. In terms of deer, they're not a native species to New Zealand. And, seems to be like a lot of the animals. This is interesting where this is going at.
I was going to say I'm not a native species of New Zealand.
I'm very curious. I'm
not a native
caught in
species.
right now,
Talking about deer, but they're not native species.
Yeah.
But a lot of species flourish in New Zealand, and they just do. It's just there's good habitat and everything like that, and the deer they do flourish and they do take over, and so they need to be kept under control.
Wow.
And if they're not, they get culled and they get culled en masse. So for the recreational shooter, it is good that they are keeping the numbers down. People eat them as well, so it does provide. So yeah, and it's talking about deer hunting now. you know, we shoot them high-powered rifles, 270s. So it's, you know, in terms of the actual process,
Instant.
it's
Yeah.
you know, it's
No, what's your favorite meal?
my favorite meal.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know, when the hunt is coming in, like, you know, I know it's always dependent on the month, but if it was something like you know,
Were you
trout
excited,
or,
like, at that time when Dad
the
would be
food
like,
that would have been?
Well, we didn't eat a whole lot of venison growing up. My favorite meal would be my mum's snitchels. Yeah, or roast lamb. Yeah.
I was leaning towards, like, you know, what would have been hunted, and then it'll be like, oh, what did you throw on the table?
Oh,
That would have been-
yeah. No, we gave it away, to be honest. Yeah, we
yeah.
would. It was more. We had a lot of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, eat a bit of venison every now and then,
Yeah.
but yeah.
did your sisters go hunting as well with you?
Oh, Anna once or twice.
Yeah, we've tagged along. Me
Oh, okay.
and Anna have tagged along.
Mm.
I wouldn't say we're hunters. I would say we're observers of hunters.
Yeah, we did a lot more with Dad. Yeah, in terms of hunter gathering. I enjoy foraging, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Oh,
forage
yeah.
for berries every day if I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Any about your interactions with your sisters growing up? Anything that sort of stuck out now and you've been unable to reconcile, and you've got this opportunity now to be able to.
Time to apologize for that missing Snickers bar.
Yeah. Oh, in terms of my sisters,
Would they
You guys
bully
are
you?
pretty good. They've got a really good relationship.
That's
All
cool.
of the
I was trying to
siblings have
think
really
really.
good
There's no like pranks, hijinks, any they play any tricks as a boy, and
No, they knew the boundaries. Yeah.
they
They-
don't want to mess with you.
Well, yeah.
Cam was the peacekeeper.
Oh,
He's
okay.
a peacekeeper.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know about that. I can't really think.
Is he like, all I'm picturing is like, you know, there was a kid there, you know, or any, you know, kid trying to, you know, make fun of you and your sisters chasing them down the street.
No.
You could just
Did they
picture
stand
things
up
like
for you?
that,
They-
know, that sort of stuff would be like,
They not let anyone mess with you. Sounds like it was pretty peaceful upbringing.
Like at high school and things.
yeah.
Well, my sister was older, and she had, it was a small high school, and it was quite a unit actually, where there were. It sounds kind of not real, but a lot of the people were. It was quite friendly, like it was quite friendly,
Yeah.
and so, and in her year, her mates were guys, and I ended up to the wrong for the basketball team. Went to the A team trials instead of the junior trials, and anyway, some things happened. All the point guards left, and
Did you make it?
Well, they all left. Yeah, and so
You're being modest now.
no,
They
no.
didn't all leave. What'd you do? Did you break some ankles?
Yeah, no.
They all left in ambulances. That's what you're
Oh,
trying to
look,
say.
I got absolutely hammered for the first year, but it was
But you made it.
good. It was
Wow.
good. But and so I ended up playing basketball with all the older guys,
Wow.
and so I was just tiny, and I guess in many ways they all looked after you. You know? Like I was, you just, and I had other like a family friend. He was the post, and he was year 12 and I was year 9 or whatever it is.
You're
And
well looked after.
yeah. So you know, it was kind of, there was no to really,
Your sisters
yeah,
guarding helicopter.
like yeah. So it was just kind of, it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. You, Shaina, like your upbringing in Waitara,
Yeah.
how did you?
Born and raised in Waitara. I'm dad, and I have 2 other sisters. I'm in the middle. Yeah. Pretty cool era to grow up in the 90s where
Yeah. What are your fond memories? Like, what sticks out for you in the 90s in Waitara?
just being able to go around the streets with friends or down the beach with friends and make hearts and just the freedom, and then not have to be home until
And not having to worry about
Yeah.
things like pedophiles, all the things that we have to worry about today with the hyper. Do you ever get that sense? I know as an 80s kid, there wasn't any worries about somebody kidnapping me, although they'd probably need a big van. Probably need, a couple of guys to grab me. But
As long as
Do you
you're
feel
home
that?
when the street lights
Yeah,
had come on,
exactly.
right?
exactly, yeah. Nah.
You
it
lived on your
wasn't-
bike, really, yeah.
Yeah, we would just bike around. We lived quite close to the beach, down the beach, building huts, and that
Wow.
wasn't frowned upon. Just kids hanging
That
out
would've been
on the
awesome.
street, down the beach, wasn't frowned upon. Where now it's kind of like, oh, where are their parents?
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
so
a
that was-
gang.
It was a cool era to grow up in.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Anything stand out with your siblings or growing up in your household?
Nah, not really. Mum's Filipino, so I think we weren't the standard Kiwi family.
How did that? Was she one of a few Filipinos in the area?
Yeah, there's quite a good Filipino community in Taranaki, and again, a really cool era to grow up in. They had the Taranaki Filipino Society, and a lot of the time we would go out to events or potlucks with Filipino families, and
Was it karaoke?
there was so much karaoke.
They're good at karaoke, though.
They love it.
Man,
They love
there are some
karaoke.
great singers.
Committed to it.
You know what? That's probably why in Taranaki, right, the Filipinos were just kosher over there, because you put Māori and the Filipinos together and there's going to be a lot of singing, right? So
Yeah.
that's
How's it
probably
there?
like what it is. They were meant to be, because honestly, like over here, like you go to to pubs or hotels or whatnot and karaoke, and the Kiwis are going to be there, and all the Māoris are singing, right? Because they can sing.
Yeah.
I wish I could sing, but and with the Philos, there you go.
Did you have
Taranaki.
Did you have a karaoke number that you go to?
No, I'm not great at karaoke. I do notice the Filipinos love a ballad. Where I'm not really
Celine
a
Dion.
ballad
Celine Dion.
They
person,
love a good
yeah.
Celine Dion.
Celine
Yeah.
Celine,
Dion.
Mariah, they
Yeah.
go there. Yeah.
Steve Tyler,
Whitney.
big one. Whitney.
All the big notes, eh?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Wow, Guy Sebastian. He's Filipino.
Is he?
Yeah,
He's what?
Not.
Oh, is he?
yeah, Guy Sebastian. Or yeah. No, I just wondered if you had a karaoke go to. Like, were you ever coerced or even borderline made to sing something?
You were
that
more
you
in the
didn't wanna sing?
pageants, weren't you? In the shows, the
The
dances.
pageants?
I was not in the
Were you in a pageant?
pageants. No.
Shaina, come on. In fact, we've got photos.
You were definitely in the show.
Yeah, you're gonna bring up
No.
the phone.
Yeah, pageants are a big thing. But I
Pageantry.
was such a tomboy that I would never get roped into a pageant. I watched a lot of pageants,
Yeah.
but that was not my scene.
A lot of tears. With the pageant contestants, did you find that they were so invested that losing brought about weird emotions, or were they just like, oh,
I actually feel like everyone was a winner. Everyone got a tiara.
oh,
Yeah. I don't remember drama around it,
oh, okay,
but I used to be like, "Pff,
yeah.
how silly. So I kept a distance from it.
So, mum, dad, how
Yeah.
did they meet?
So Dad was in the Philippines. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
And then she came over to New Zealand.
wow.
Yeah.
How did your parents meet, Cam?
Yeah, they met through a friend of Mum's, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Was there a lot of talk?
It was a
or
friend
did
of my mum's sister.
Did they share a lot about their courting phase, your parents, at all? Was it just like you had no interest in finding out, or they just never really were forthcoming with any information?
I don't know if we, well, from
Your life starts like when they're like.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm
months
thinking about
they're
they
it.
don't
married,
have
so
a beginning
yeah,
before.
you're
Oh, like the beginning is us.
I'm here. Your
Yeah.
life has started.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
just wondered if there were any standout stories or any tips or anything given in advice about relationships. Which brings me to my next question. How did you guys meet?
Cam said you were going to ask that question.
Pageant? Was it the pageant?
I saw her on stage in the pageant.
Oh, really?
No,
Oh, how did you guys meet?
it's a small town,
Okay, so
and we didn't actually. So we went to the same church, and it wasn't a
Oh,
big
cool.
church. It was at Knox Presbyterian Church in Waitara,
Mm.
and we didn't really cross paths like in the younger days. You were in the youth group, and I was in the music group, and on youth group night was basketball, and so I was going to basketball, so I never went to youth group.
So it would have been Sunday was the only time you were
Yeah,
possibly in the same building at the same
Cam
time.
was in the music group, and so that's kind of like I would see him play in the music band, and that was kind of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And who approached who first?
I don't think it was so much like a approaching. I don't remember a moment. It was more
Yeah.
like our friend groups kind of intermingled, right?
yeah. I think at the end of probably
Yeah,
something
our
like that.
friend
Yeah.
groups intermingled, and that's how we got to know each other.
And you just noticed you guys would have good banter and.
I think we used to just talk heaps after church, eh?
Yeah.
And then one of the older ladies at church, I shouldn't say older, well, she was older than me, came up and said, "Well, it hasn't gone unnoticed."
So that sparked it? Is that what sparked it? The fact that she came in and said it hasn't gone unnoticed, and then you kind of went,
Oh, no, I was already committed before
you're
that.
already in.
Yeah, you always have a plan.
Who was more committed? Do you think, Shaina, he was more committed than you were? Or?
Think so. My plan was, I had spent 18 years in this small town,
Yeah.
and my plan was to get out
Yeah.
when I could. I was leaving that small town, so I kind of was like, I'm leaving everything here and going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Including Cam.
Well, we were nothing at
Yeah,
this
yeah.
stage.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Hadn't gone unnoticed.
But there would have been a moment though. There's always a moment, right, when you decide, I'm gonna ask if she would like to, or this is my chance to go. Hey, would you like to, head out to dinner or something like that? Was there?
Well, Shaina invited me to her ball.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Alright, nice.
But
As
then,
a friend.
well, see, this
This
is,
is the thing.
we'll go with that. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, so you invited me to your ball.
Yeah, we just got along really well, and you were fun to hang out with, and so I was like, yeah, cool, come to my ball with me.
And it felt pretty natural, eh? Like just the progression and everything was just so. It seemed like it was so natural for you guys. It just it didn't feel like there's a beginning or anything. It just grew into something.
I think there was a moment for me when we were just talking, and I was like, man, I find it really easy to talk to Cameron, and that was probably kind of like a moment.
Yeah, and then we used to just do things like, even to the point of we went, white baiting. You just sit and talk.
Oh,
Yeah, it's white baiting. Caught like 7 white bait, named them all. But we used to just do things like that. We used to go to the beach all the time and just walk the beach and
Walk and, yeah.
have a picnic or something.
Were you guys into fishing?
Yeah, we just fishing.
Got a
Yep.
photo of some fishing.
Oh,
Just on the monitor. There, at the bottom. Some fishing. Just down the bottom there.
oh, look at that. And actually,
Yeah.
now I'm just getting hungry.
yeah, snapper.
You want to talk to us about what's happening in this photo at that particular time? Is that you, Shannon, on the end? Was it?
It is. I'm on the end. Yeah.
Did you actually catch? Are those your actual fish that you caught?
That would have
Can you
been a
remember?
boat fish. So I couldn't tell you.
Oh, they look so good though. The fish.
Yeah, Chandler usually catches bigger fish than me. You usually do.
You're the
thing
biggest
is,
one.
I say
You're the
I'm
biggest one she's caught.
Yes.
I fish, but really
Snapper
what I
time.
do, Cam puts the bait on
Oh.
my hook, I lower it down, and then when I get a bite, flick it and
So
wind it up.
it's
and
my
then
scent
Cam-
and my finger.
Yeah,
It's
Cam
teamwork,
takes
right?
Oh yeah.
And it's a
exactly.
team effort.
And so when you reel it in, are you like, oh, could you take it off the hook?
Yeah, like
Oh,
they
okay.
know I'm incompetent to do
Oh,
it.
that's
So I'm
not
like,
incompetent.
someone.
Nah, I just use the towel because it's spiky. Eh?
And then he baits it up again, and so I'm probably in the water a lot longer than what you're.
Wow.
you're
Oh,
in the
sorry.
water.
Well, at least walking away from it, you're like, the fish that we got, the fish that we got. There's no
Yeah.
we got.
Teamwork. Teamwork.
Man, they look
catches
good.
fish.
Snapper. Snapper's like my top 3
It's up there.
seafood dish.
It's
It's
good.
so
It's nice
good.
eating and it's good fish to play as well. It puts up a good fight. So
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I went last time. One of the times when I was fishing with Dad, catch snapper, and I would eat it there and there with the seawater.
Oh really?
raw
Raw,
sashimi. Yeah.
like straight off
Yeah.
the cuff, and just my old man would be like, "What are you doing?" Because he never ate on the boat,
Oh yeah.
so he just took like sandwiches and whatnot. But I was just like, "Oh, snapper, just
Wow.
use the seawater,"
Yeah.
and that was me, like a real proper savage.
Lemon? No? Oh, just
salt
seawater.
water. Seawater's all I needed.
I can't do that.
Anyway,
That was wrong. So how many years beforehand, or how long did it take to progress into...
4 years before we got engaged.
Oh, wow.
And then probably a year before we got married. So 5 years total.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both went to university in Christchurch. So Cam's degree was 4 years.
Wow, so you guys both left Waitara in the end at the same time and studied?
Yeah.
separately or together?
Separately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were at different institutions.
Ben was in the city centre and I was at the
Did you
one
go
of
to
the
Canterbury?
suburbs. I was at Canterbury, yeah.
And you went to...
I went to the New Zealand Broadcasting School.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or it was attached to Christchurch Polytechnic.
And did you meet up again when you returned to Taranaki, or?
Well, we were like boyfriend and girlfriend
Oh,
as students.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And so, I've got just pop up the photo. Is
Oh,
that,
that's Shana's graduation. Yes.
who's the guy?
Well, it's not. It's Stephen Kibbe's shirt that I borrowed.
Timothy Chalamet
So-
lookalike.
It looks like a bit like Justin Bieber.
Yeah, you're looking dash, man. Could you tell us about
Yeah.
the shirt?
I'm just saying that's the borrowed shirt.
I'm
That's
loving the high school
that's a-
high feel.
That's
Do you think your sisters had influence over your fashion at that particular point, or was it Shaina mostly, or were you just like slap it on?
I'm a right. I'm a roll with that vibe. Is that it?
Because I'm a don't care guy. Hey?
like I used to at uni. I would save my haircuts till I came home, and so my hair would just grow out. And every end of like semester, you'd have exams, and I'd have to tie my hair up because it would just get in my eyes.
Yeah.
I wasn't really
Can we go back to that
concerned
photo?
too much about things, but
I would say your sisters had influence over your style because that's your sister's boyfriend's style.
yeah, so I'm saying it's Stephen's stop. Yeah.
Man, you guys look a great couple. So that's your graduation from broadcasting school?
Yeah, 2010, I think that was.
Yeah, you got one of the last marches
was-
down the street,
yeah,
before
I
the
was-
earthquakes.
Wow.
Graduating in the town hall area.
I always found graduations quite emotional. I think I cried at my sister's one, and I think I might even cried at your one there.
Really?
Oh, just I don't know,
Is
such
it a
a
culmination of study and effort?
yeah. I just think it's celebration,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
and it's and that accompanied with the bagpipes.
Sacrifice.
You know,
oh, you know, the
bagpipes always,
bagpipe.
always get you. Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
what do they play? You were playing for me.
Oh, Scotland the Brave.
Scotland the
I don't know
Brave.
if they played that.
That note.
Or maybe they did actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you guys were involved in the earthquakes as well.
had disappeared from Christchurch then, but
Yeah.
Cameron was in the earthquake.
Yeah, I was in the first one. Yeah.
What was that like, Jim?
Yeah, that was it was like 4 in the morning, and I remember just being. It felt like I was pretty much thrown out of bed, and felt like I was just like, because I was asleep. It was like I was really dazed or sick on a boat or something like that. Couldn't quite figure out what was going on, and like things were just all tipped over, and it was just a violent shake. And then we, as a flat, we went out onto the road, and it was like being at the top of a mountain. So when you go up the mountain, you don't hear any birds, you don't hear anything if there's no wind, and it's just dead silence. And we went out onto the street, and no lights, no nothing. It was just dead
Oh.
silence, like that's eerie. No animal sounds, no nothing.
Pitch
you know,
black.
but just everything black. The university, we literally lived across the road from the university, so we were so close that we could come back in between lectures and have cheese toasted sandwiches in that
Yeah.
10-minute break and
Wow.
play a round of Mario Kart or two.
Wow.
And then
Yeah,
go back.
and then go back. That's how close we were. So we looked across the road, and the university, all the doors were magnetic doors that ran off a system somehow with electricity, and they were all just flung open because it was everything had just, even the generator backup had gone, and so it was just this eerie thing with in the middle of the night all the doors open, and we didn't really know exactly what was going on. I remember we hopped into my car and we turned the radio on, and it said that there's been reports of a big earthquake in Christchurch. I rang my parents, and my dad, he always felt earthquakes, and he's like, yeah, I felt it. And he goes, there was a big, yeah, I felt that earthquake. And I remember them saying, that's all right, you know, it won't be, go back to bed, it won't be a sort of, you know, an issue sort of thing. And, but yeah, little did anyone know how severe it was, and obviously how severe it was in terms of doing that initial weakening, and then that second one to come in and really slam it was just yeah.
Turned everything to water. Eh?
Oh,
The
like it was,
ground-
yeah, we was
ground just
studying liquefaction at that
Yeah.
particular point in time, and we actually saw it happen in front of us, you know, like the sand boiled to the surface, and
wow.
and yeah, there it was. And yeah, it was a crazy time. Driveways full of sand, just full of liquefaction. Well,
So
liquefaction is a
liquefaction,
process.
It's
Sand,
like a
sand, yeah.
sifting almost, but reverse type situation.
It's like you got to have the right conditions for it, but basically, water can't take shear stress, and what happens is essentially the water. There's high water table. There's the properties like the grades of sand. There's the right grade of sand, and it gets shaken and kind of under pressure, and it just sort of gushes up like that. And when it goes up, it's obviously leaving something behind, and things settle and move and things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, as a structural point of view, it's terrible. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Wow.
you anchor everything into the ground.
Yeah.
That's what you anchor it into. But when the ground moves and you build on shifting sands,
Yeah.
it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the second wave, did it catch you in a position where it was sort of dangerous, or were you in a safe spot in the second time?
For the second one, I'd so graduated and I'd already started work. I remember the bridge. I was inspecting a bridge with my boss up in New Plymouth, and it came across the radio. There was another massive earthquake or something we heard. Yeah, and I was just like, wow, like they already had a big one. So I thought it's got to be serious. Yeah. So I wasn't down there for the second one. Yeah, only for the first one. Wow. But yeah, it was very different. Yeah,
Yeah.
It was tough. Like our flat was pretty much fine. We didn't realize the severity of it. For 3 days, we were still drinking water from the taps. We didn't know until the news came on. We finally got power back, and they were like, "You must boil your water because, there's sewage. That pipes are
3
broken,
days.
pressures are down, sewage can
out.
seep in, can get in this reticulation system." So, yeah, it's we didn't know, and then from there we were definitely boiling water. Yeah.
Man, okay, so we've got a photo of, I think this is your wedding? The wedding? Are they both the same day?
They're both our wedding photos.
So you're here and cut it back a little bit.
I still borrowed my brother-in-law's shoes for that.
That's amazing. Tell us about your wedding day.
Well, I wore a whole lot of mascara by the looks of that.
You look like you hadn't been out of the sun for a bit, eh?
4 years of study, man.
Yeah, I know.
Just
It's tell us about first of all, Shaina, your perspective on the marriage, the wedding day.
I think so. Between engagement and the actual wedding day was like 9 months, was it?
yeah,
Maybe a little bit longer, actually.
March to
Yeah, like 9.
December.
Yeah, 9 months. And so by that time, like, let's just get married. Like, I don't care what the day's like. I'm just ready to be married. I'm sick of this organizing. So yeah, I was just ready to be married.
Yeah.
But it was a great day. I think the vibe we went for was we just wanted to invite as many people as we could and just celebrate.
Which is really hard because it just heads up really quickly. And anybody who's had a wedding day knows.
Yeah.
But we tried our best, yeah.
Yeah.
Was there any bridezilla moments?
Probably.
Nah, you
I
weren't,
was
to
very
be
high
honest.
strung, and sometimes
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
but-
stress and the pressure got to me, but
Where do you think they came from? Was it some sort of expectation? I know, talking to some people, that it's almost like a given right to be.
I wouldn't say it's a given right. I would just say like it was all, we organised it all. So we had the ceremony at Cameron's grandparents at Waiiti Beach, and then we had our reception at a community hall. So we were organising everything. So I think it just came from the stress of having to organise everything.
Yeah.
But we had like a lot of family as well, helping and organising and doing everything as well. So
Lots of friends as well.
yeah, I guess you mean like we didn't just pay someone to do the whole thing and
We
turn up.
didn't
Yeah,
turn
yeah.
up
So it
to
was
a
like a
venue.
family organised
Yeah.
day.
So you weren't really stressed.
So
I'm sure Cam would have noticed if you were really stressed.
You weren't.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
What about your perspective, Cam?
She was really stressed. No.
Come to think of it.
Yeah. I was just really tired, from doing that.
organising
Eh?
it all,
I just remember turning up and reading the word with Josh, one of the groomsmen. We just opened up the Bible that morning and had toast and being shattered. But it was just a really amazing moment he'd been a big part of my uni life in terms of my walk with Jesus, and it was such a special moment to share with him at the morning of your wedding. But I just remember in that time being really tired. And then
From organising.
just from everything, from organising and
We had people come from overseas, and so we wanted to hang out with them.
Yeah.
And, from all around, friends and family from all around. So, yeah.
it was a hot day too. It was the only hot day of the summer. It was
Oh, wow.
literally the only sunny hot day. It was so hot. Josh, one of the same guy, he nearly passed out. Just so hot.
Oh, wow.
He was in the black jackets and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. So you picked a good day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
December the 3rd. Definitely December the 3rd.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. And so, yeah, so you've got the wedding. It's pretty normal because I've been to some, I won't say. I could edit it out, but I won't say.
Some fiestas and
Oh, yeah, it's just,
You know.
I've had conversations where there's been an expectation to be given the right to be a bridezilla. It's almost like, anyway, let's move on. So you got married. Tell us about life after moving in together, the difficulties, the highs and lows of adjusting to living together, and I guess some of that faith and how Cam, you've shared a bit about how the coming effect of the word on the morning of your wedding obviously was a big help. You know what I mean? Because you remember it distinctly. How did that happen? How did that play out for you guys moving into this new season of life?
I think you obviously have expectations and you think things are going to go like this, and they never do, right? They just never do. It's not wrong to sort of think about what could be and what might happen and things like that, but it's being realistic, I think, with expectations. And so, yeah, we've certainly had our moments where things didn't add up in my expectations the way that I wanted to see things to happen, and the same with yourself, you'd say, and then that's when you fight, that's when you argue, that's when this stupid stuff comes out, and you have to work through that. And man, we've had good fights, if you can call them good, and we've had bad fights, sometimes we've argued in a not good way and then a not good way, but yeah, you just sort of, I think you'd always say, like, at the end of the day, we made a commitment before God and before people, and marriage isn't a flippant thing. It is God ordained, and God set it up, and it's a covenant, and that's the highest order of a commitment. And so at the end of the day, that's, I guess, what we hold on to, that we've made that commitment before God, first and foremost, and to each other. And so it doesn't mean that there's not hard times, for sure. But that is, I guess, well, you've said it a number of times, that when you do have those moments where you argue and whatever is going on, that it's like, yep, I knew there would be a moment in time where we will figure this out together. Asking God to humble our hearts so that we would ask for forgiveness, because it's just pride, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we've been very blessed as well. We've had some really great times.
Oh yeah.
As well.
And good people around you as well. To give good
Absolutely.
Role models.
Yeah, good role models.
Giving a lean on.
People who give.
I remember when Jazz and I moved in together, the first year I had to ask permission to grab something from the fridge. Those sorts of things I had to adjust, because I had no idea and some level of expectation that life was going to still resemble something that I'd come from, which was home life. And whenever you go to the fridge, you ask, hey, is it okay if I have this? And I remember the first year just like, you don't have to ask.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to ask. And I'm getting sick and tired of you asking if you get a drink from, like, it was just those sorts of things, like a real weird. Did you guys have any of that sort of stuff? Like weird adjustments, having been brought up in different homes?
Oh, I can record.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a time of adjusting in a new season and figuring things out. But I think Cam was 22 and I was 23, and we had come from university and got married. So I think we were already like in a season of change and adjusting, so it wasn't.
And you guys had similar friends, like you had one friendship group, really?
Yeah, we did. You definitely bring your expectations, I think, subconsciously to it, because you've come from a way that the family unit is run, and then you've come from a way, and without, sometimes you just going through it and you're just expecting this to happen, and you haven't even communicated why you expect that. It's because it's like, that's just how you do it, because that's how we did it, and that's what's right. When you just go, well, actually,
One
doesn't
thing
have
I'm
to be
really
that.
grateful for is that we did pre-marriage
that was really
counselling.
good.
And they just went over some some of those sorts of things, like who's going to take out the rubbish, or what are your expectations on cars, or have you talked about a budget? And yeah, those were really good things to be highlighted to us.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, this is good to talk about, so that when we are married, like, we've already discussed it and we already know the expectations. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds pedantic, but I'm all for what you're talking about. The like sometimes you can look at things in situations like they're not worth discussing, but they can become massive obstacles because they reflect something deeper than.
Yeah, because the trigger point doesn't have to be very big.
No.
Yeah, it can be just like you say,
Yeah.
the rubbish. No,
Yeah.
such and such always took it out, you know. Yeah.
And it builds up, and men tend to don't really talk about things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to
It
have
really
someone,
is, eh? Like,
Yeah.
it's the little things. It's the
Someone-
little things that
someone
we take for
confront you.
granted, right?
yeah,
You know, and then they, you know, just like, you know, with every relationship, they sometimes become that building block to resentment. Touching on those little things and going, hey, this doesn't make sense. Can you explain this to me? Or this is not working out for me before it gets big. So, yeah, the little things, they do make a massive difference if we leave it out to dry for too long.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good on you.
how would you surmise? Like, I'll go with Cam first, and then Shaina. Prior to being married, what sort of advice would you give those who are tracking through their late teenage to early 20s and 20s? Top maybe 2 or 3 things to think about when considering life, given everything that you've been through and everything you believe, Cam, with God, and what would you think would be the top 3 things you'd want people to hear?
This is bigger than marriage, just life in general.
Life, yeah.
Life
How
in
to
general.
navigate life, and what you found to be trustworthy and solid.
I think a wise place to start would be to ask yourself the question that we find in the book of James, and it is the question of what is your life. He asks the question with a question mark. What is your life? And he follows that up by saying your life is but a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes, and that we don't have a long life here, and it is there is more to life than just, I guess, what you're fed from your peers or the expectations of your friends or whatever it is, the expectations you put on yourself. Like, sit back and have a look at life, and actually you have been given a brain to think. You have been, you are created in God's image. That's what the Bible says. That's what I believe. That's what the Bible says. And that you have the ability to think and process and understand things. And even as a teenager, you have that. So sit back, stop, and have a think about what is your life and what really matters. And I think that's where you got to start, because you got to ask yourself some big questions. Because marriage doesn't last forever. Your health doesn't last forever. You're not invincible as a young person. If you even, and I know I don't want to sound morbid, but if you actually go to the graveyard sites, the cemeteries, there are a lot of young ages on the tombstones. And so I don't think it's a bad thing to really think about life for what it actually is, and what's your purpose to life. What is your life? And then from there, figure out what is worth pursuing. What really is worth pursuing? And I would say, hands down, without a doubt, it's Jesus Christ. And if you don't pursue him, everything else is temporal, in the sense of everything else will be like a mist that will pass away. And so that's where you got to, I believe wholeheartedly, that's where you've got to start, because everything else is it's just, it really is, and I'll take it from Solomon, it really is a chasing after the wind. If you were just to go through life and pursue a marriage for marriage's sake, a job for status or whatever it is, and there are good things in this. Marriage is fantastic. It's great. It's God's design. To get a job and earn money, like they're good things in itself. Don't get me wrong, but it's getting it in the right order where you start. So that would be my first thing, is to stop and consider what is your life, and look at what really matters. Because there are some, and I'm not, like we're saying, we're not discounting all those other things there, but them in themselves, they're not going to last. They don't. But them with Christ, well, that's another issue. That's another deal. That's another situation. It is something worth pursuing, you know?
And I think that's what, by and large, a lot of people probably misunderstand is that when they hear the pursuit of Christ, they don't understand that these other things aren't necessarily bad things. They're just not up in the same level as pursuing Christ.
They're good things,
They're
but
good
if they
things.
become ultimate things, they become idols.
Become the uppermost in someone's heart.
And that can be hard to actually take and hear
Mm.
because, like you said, they're good things.
Mm.
And that's why you got to stop and you got to think about those things. You got to think about what does that question actually mean? What is your life? You know, like who is Christ?
Yeah.
Like, and what does He do for my life and everything in it? That's where I would say you got to start, because if you don't start with Christ, it doesn't end well. It will not end well.
Chasing all sorts of things.
If you saw me, you're chasing the wind. If you saw me running down the street tomorrow chasing the wind, you'd be like, put that guy away.
Yeah.
You know, like you'd be saying that's ridiculous. But Solomon, in all his wisdom, why is this guy ever to live? Bar Jesus. Well, that's the name in the Bible too, isn't it? Apart from Jesus, he said it was just meaningless. That's what the book of Ecclesiastes is all about. Is like, what is life without Christ? It's vanity. It's a meaninglessness.
And he's someone who comes from a perspective of having everything.
He said, I
Everything.
withheld no pleasure to myself. Anything he wanted, he got. He was the king. He was at that stage of the game, man. He was, or that stage of world history. He was big dog king. Like in terms of the nations, he was big dog king, and he had everything at his disposal, basically.
They envied him.
Yeah,
He was the central focus of, like, just blessed with wisdom, pursued pleasure, not just with everything, and surmised it very succinctly with, it's just the
chasing of the wind. And then he ends the book of Ecclesiastes by saying, all has been heard of the matter. He's gone through and he's talked about, man is from dust and he returns to dust, and his days are short, and looking around at the world going, all these things that are happening that just don't make sense and things like that. And he talks about it all, like a life without God, basically. And he says, all has been heard. This is the end of the matter. All has been heard. There's one thing that man must do, that is fear God and keep his commandments. And in the sense of saying that there will be a day where this life ends, and in that next, when that finishes, you have to understand that what happens in this life is super important, because God has a standard that He will judge, and that's why we are to fear God with a reverence and a holy fear of Him, because there will be a day where we are brought before Him, and so it's not as in the sense of saying fear God, keep His commandments to earn anything. We know that, that's what the gospel addresses, is that we can't do it, and so the only way we can do that is have Christ keep them for us, and so that's the beauty of the gospel. So yeah,
and it's not necessarily a fear that I guess most people would attribute to. I think you touched on the word, the reverence.
Yeah, it's a reverence and awe.
It's an awe of God. It's sort of like you wouldn't enter into an apex predator's cage. So I wouldn't go to the zoo and ask to be put in the same cage as a lion. Do you know what I mean? Like that fear of, hey, this thing could tear me apart in a couple of seconds, and that awe of that might and power behind it. I think a lot of people think, oh, fear God. There's this fear God, love God, fear God, love God, and people I find it really hard to sort of put their finger on, am I supposed to fear Him, in terms of like the fear that we can sometimes attribute to our earthly experiences, where bracing yourself, like, He's going to destroy me always. He's always out to get me. Always, He's hanging out, waiting to bolt you with a thunderbolt. You know what I mean? Like, there's that misconception of that. I just wanted to sort of probably add that particular bit on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's an reverence. It's an awe. It's understanding that He is in a position where He will execute justice on the earth, and that's fear is good, actually. Fear is a good thing in the sense that it can preserve us, it can protect us, and it does. People don't walk out open a plane window and jump out, right, without a parachute, because there's a fear. There's a very real fear there because you'll hit the ground. And so that fear preserves life. And so that's what Solomon's getting at when he says fear God. Because if you fear God, your life will be preserved.
Be on the path.
You will be on the path, because he will judge to his commandments, which you can't keep. And that's why we need Christ, and that's the gospel. So you're 100% right. That is the fear there.
Yeah, it's not this love drives out all fear that's referenced often, like, and hardly ever explained, to be quite honest. It causes a lot of confusion. We'll probably just jump over to Shaina. Shaina, do you have anything to add to that? Or
No, I
should
have gone first.
just hijacked. I know you would be in full agreement with what Cam has shared there. Maybe anything practical from like you had these goals to get out of Waitara to before even considering a relationship with Cam. Anything practical in terms of young ladies who are in their 20s, how they juggle their priorities for themselves and this potential of relationship and the pivot of life towards a relationship that maybe you weren't expecting.
Yeah, I guess the whole getting out of Waitara, I feel like it came from adults who were like, you need to get out of this small town and experience the world. And it was great. But I feel that whole teenage, young adult stage where you're like, all right, I'm separating from friends and family. And what I found is you just draw back to them. You crave that. They know you. And what was difficult about university and moving away from home is no one knew you, and no one knew your values, no one knew your family, no one knew your work ethic, and so you're constantly proving yourself.
Did it excite you? Did you see it as an opportunity to change yourself? Like, in terms of, were you happy with who you were?
Yeah, I felt like I worked hard to be who I was, and I guess it wasn't a consideration in terms of, I'm going to have to keep proving myself in order to get some leeway here.
That would have been draining, though.
It
To
was
having,
exhausting.
to consistently, I need to prove myself.
Yeah.
How did you eventually, was there a moment where you then went, nah, I don't need to prove myself to these people. I only need to prove myself to one person or to myself. Was there a moment when you thought, I'm tired, I'm gonna just be the best that I am, and I don't need to prove myself to these people? Was there a...
I don't feel like there was a moment. I think it's something I always consistently have to work on. That you're I don't know if it's just a female thing, a pride thing possibly, is like, okay, I want to keep proving myself. I want to keep proving that I'm a good worker and I'm good at this and I'm reliable and trustworthy. I think you get to a point, I think knowing your identity is really important. And
Absolutely.
certainly being married to Cameron, that's really like, he knows who I am, so I don't need to prove it to other people, you know? And going to Cam and just getting advice from him, and, knowing he'll always be by my side. So who cares if I muck up, or who cares if what other people think of me? I've got Cam by my side.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Like, I had a conversation with my wife recently, like really recently, about how my life has been marked a lot with the sense of, I walk into a room and have to work twice as hard to remove stereotypes or preconceived ideas as to who I am, because of certain things that stand out. And even to the point of, like, my ideas might not be so accepted because I wear a cap, like, or a t-shirt, or like a certain way that I express myself. And I was, like, even just recently, like, going to the doctors and sitting there and him looking at me like, should I give him all the necessary required information to inform him of what is about to happen, or is he just another guy that I just need to say, oh, just come in? And it wasn't until I felt like I just had to express that I was someone who had some sort of understanding or intellect. So please give me everything that I need to do as you would any other human being. Don't look at me like I'm some sort of islander. Don't give me the abbreviated version. Give me the whole story as if you were giving it to another human being, because I'm not just someone who's unable to rub 2 cents together. Like it was, and I felt like, talking to Jazz, I felt like that marked a lot of my upbringing. It's real, and in a bad way. But when you say, your identity and being married to Cam, and all that mattered was, and I guess Christ as well, and God, gave you that real settling feeling, like I don't have to prove myself to anybody. They can take me as they are, and it's just, man, that just seems like a real appropriate tonic for how I've been feeling lately, with the substandard advice and health options that I've been given. And I often wonder, is it because I'm just another Pacific Islander, or who doesn't, I just get assumed a lot of things. Like I remember going to a work party and someone saying to me, "Oh, you look like you've just robbed a 7-Eleven," and I was rocked. Oh, is that what gave that away? My hat or t-shirt? It was a work party. It was a corporate function, but no one's. Those sorts of comments, like, I know how you guys eat. I know what you guys eat. All of that stuff just peppered in my life continually and subconsciously, working at a level where I now am hyper aware of what I have to say to get across the line, to even just have my ideas recognized as something worthy of recognition. Do you know what I mean? When it should be that I'm just a human being that has ideas, But when you mention that, it is absolutely the truth. To be known by my wife and to be known by God especially, should be the most comforting thing. And this incessant need to move at a pace where people can, it's just a waste. It's just the chasing of the wind.
Yeah.
To be accepted by others who in 10 years' time won't even remember your first name. Just the chasing of the wind. It's just such a really great thing that you shared, Shaina, because it's really had a bit of an impact on me.
It's that quote, I can't remember who said it, but you can either be impressive or you can be known.
Oh, yeah.
You can't be both, because if somebody really knows you, they'll realize that you actually aren't impressive.
Wow.
Nobody is, we like to be liked, right? We want to be liked, It's everybody does, Who
doesn't?
Who doesn't? We want to be. Yeah, we want to fit in. I see it in school. I'm a school teacher. I see it in school all the time. The one thing people want in class is to just fit in.
Yeah.
And however that looks like in their mind to fit in. They want to be the academic that can answer the questions, or they want to be just fly under the radar. They just want to fit in where they want to fit in.
Or the joker.
Oh, the joker, or
the
whatever it
sarcastic
is.
guy who
Yeah,
has the remarks that the timing is just on.
Yeah, they want to be impressive, But every now and then you do see someone that just doesn't, and there's obviously some maturity there for some other reason, they've obviously been through something or whatnot. But you can either be impressive or you can be known.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a good way to look at it.
I can't take that quote because I can't remember who said it.
Cameron Moratti.
No, it definitely wasn't me.
Thanks, Cam, for quoting that. That's good.
It's a requote of a requote, I think.
Anyway, move forward to married life. So now you've been married how many years?
12 and a half.
I know the day. Just give me.
I was just going with some onomatopoeias. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Fresh, bang.
Yeah, some descriptive. Anyway, so tell us about 12 years. What have been, I guess, probably more to the last. What have been some major changes that you guys have been through, and what has been really beneficial in terms of bringing you together, or what are some massive learnings? They can be recent or later, or.
Yeah. A lot of life happens in 12 and a half years, and some really cool things and some really, really hard
tough things,
times. Yeah.
Not that. Just give us an example, I guess, and how you probably were able to navigate it, and what some people who might be listening could glean from the situation, or might be helpful for. So I know you guys moved over here. How did that come about?
Yeah, it's 2013.
Yeah.
And how many years did you spend here?
I think
3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, this is some rich 3 years. They felt like longer than 3 years.
it was an amazing time of growth and connection.
And when I say here, Gold Coast, Brisbane, Queensland,
yeah,
for those who were
it's a
listening.
big island, eh?
Yeah.
It's huge.
So you've come from Waitara, New Plymouth, and living on the Gold Coast. What were the initial thoughts?
And there's people everywhere. Yeah. It was,
What actually brought you guys here? Like, from, the land of, just
milk and honey.
milk and honey, long way. and
Opportunity.
then you guys find yourselves here in, the northernmost part of the North Island.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really the northern part. Yeah, you're right. I just caught that on that. Yeah. So what make Perth then?
Well,
The western part of the North
Oh,
Island.
yeah.
Eastern part of South Africa.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what we call it.
Oh, classic. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to find some schoolmates, I just check in Perth or Brisbane.
Did you guys look at the opportunity of moving here as an experience to maybe learn new things about yourselves? And
I think it was part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was it was many things. It was an adventure. It was a chance for us to, I guess, grow as a and to learn, and so that was definitely part of it. And it was like you said, it was a rich 3 years. We made some amazing memories, amazing connections, relationships, family, friends. It was just it was hard though. Like, it was being away from
Being
family.
away,
yeah.
We got to back every year for a wedding, so that was tough. Like, being away from family. I guess we did live in an era that you could ring unconditional minutes, really, So so that bit better for sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't just writing letters,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was tough being away from dad and siblings and extended family. You do feel, I guess, when they have celebrations or gatherings, you do feel that, oh man,
You're
like
missing
you're sort of
out.
missing out on.
So
that
so
time.
who needed convincing?
My parents, no. No, they were really good. They were good. It was.
I think a mutual decision.
Yeah,
it was kind of,
This is
eh?
a really great opportunity to go over and live in Australia, and we can do it. So let's go and do it.
Yeah, we didn't have kids, but at the time we didn't have kids, so we thought it was an opportunity that was maybe a little bit easier. With our kids, but
And then after 3 years, did it change your perception of where you'd come from? And to what degree?
Yeah,
When-
hugely.
Yeah.
I think you saw all the things that you took for granted, being around family, being around friends.
well, maybe even not necessarily for granted, but just at a deeper level. Like, I wouldn't say we took them for granted, but I know what you're saying. Like, it was like you
Did you-
appreciate things on a different level.
Did you see more opportunity returning, having been through 3 years here?
like in terms of
Just opportunities around. You know how you can in and go, there's nothing here.
yeah,
Or you
yeah,
go, man, there are some. There's
yeah.
like because I've seen it can work,
Yeah.
and why didn't I think of this before? Like with that sort of experience.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you don't know what you know. So like, it's just, it was just different ways of doing things. I always thought Australia was quite similar to New Zealand. It's real different. Really, really different ways of going about things over here. Yeah.
There are two meanings to down the road. One in New Zealand is completely different from down the road in Australia.
Man, yeah.
That I learned real quick.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those little things like that.
It was
Yeah.
a big culture shock moving over. I guess I had preconceived what living in Australia would look like. I mean, we grew up with Home and Away.
Yeah. And that travel show, what was that travel show?
Oh, I can't
Travel
remember.
Australia.
Yeah.
I like that show because I used to
Yeah.
go to all the beaches and
So that was
Rainforests
our
and
idea of
crocodiles and
Australia.
Yeah.
And then it's like an hour drive to the beach, and you're like, hang on.
yeah, when it's like
On
just
a Home
2
and
minutes
Away,
in a
they
row.
walk.
Yeah, they
to the
walk.
beach.
Yeah.
They
walk
cross
a
the
lot.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So what were the things that you experienced for the first time here?
Kangaroos.
Bats.
Oh, kangaroos. New cultures.
They're yummy.
Bats.
Yeah, we
Bats.
had some.
Kangaroos.
Kangaroos. 5 minutes. 5 minute. Both sides. Just
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Kangaroos, we found that out. That's quite nice, eh?
We tried it for the first time
Last night. Yeah.
Wait, real?
Yeah.
Did you guys try the crocodile?
Not yet. Not
No,
yet.
I've eaten
Oh.
before though.
Would you eat that in Africa?
Yeah, I ate
Yeah.
it in Africa.
Africa.
Yes.
When? Before getting married?
Yeah, before getting married. 21, so I couldn't even tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
that I went over. Yeah.
What was that like? How long were you there for?
I was there for just under 6 months. It was a really cool experience.
6 months.
Yeah.
Did you speak the language by the end, or understand it at
No.
all?
I was in Zambia. They spoke really well.
Do you still have contacts with people from your time there?
Yeah, Facebook friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. On a Christian community radio station.
Cool.
Yeah, in a small, I guess, village called Solwezi in Africa, in the north of Zambia. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a really cool experience. Learnt a lot about myself and about the culture that I'm from. Yeah, it was really cool.
Wow.
A different world over there.
Yeah.
It's like you're living on a different planet.
I can only imagine. That's miles from home, you know, in regards to, like, you know, moving over here, you know, it doesn't seem like so far away.
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have to your own space to make you feel comfortable? I would imagine a lot of experiences in Zambia would be absolutely brand new, but they leave you out in the lurch in terms of your experience and your maybe your ability to be able. Did you create your own within where you stayed to be able to keep sane? Right?
Yeah, I think you do. I was fortunate enough to be staying with a New Zealand family over there, so I went into their family home.
Okay.
So it was nice and cushy in there. We knew each other's culture. We had similar accents, and the family had been there for a few years, so they were known in the community. Yeah. But yeah, I guess you do build your culture within the culture. Make like really good friends. You realize actually all humans want is connection.
Yeah.
You know, and so one thing that came out of it was I guess friendships. Like, I never thought I would form friendships with local people because we were just so different, being raised worlds apart. Yeah, and so to have those friendships and be like, actually, I just really enjoy your company and I enjoy talking with you and hanging out with you.
Yeah.
That was a really cool experience.
Man. Now, just one thing before I don't want to overlook this, but when you were in Australia for 3 years, you discovered something about your heritage.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was always sort of there. Growing up, Dad would always talk about it because the hunting and fishing side of things, you know, that they had their Australian Aboriginal skill of hunting things down, tracking things down, and getting them, basically. It was always there, and it was intriguing to me. And I guess when I was in Australia, it became just a little bit more closer to home, having that culture in the same place. And yeah, ended up sort of looking into it, not having to do huge amounts of research because, it got looked into anyway because it turned out that my great granddad, the great Arthur Wellington, he served in the Boer War, and so he was one of 9 Aboriginal Australians that didn't get recognised, and so they did a lot of research on him, and through that we got to find out some information. Yeah, so I pursued that to find out more. And
were you related to this character? Arthur Boer?
He would be my so there's my great grandmother, and so it was his dad's dad. Oh, sorry, her dad's dad. Yeah.
Wow.
So he was adopted by a family over here, the Wellingtons. They were doctors. Yeah.
And so you have some Aboriginal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I've got that in the heritage there, and we actually ended up. Shaina brought me for Christmas a DNA test, and so I knew I had it because I've traced the family line back, and they picked it up in the DNA test, ancestry
What
DNA.
percentage?
2%. Yeah.
Hey, like that.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
Man.
2%.
And a certificate to say you.
I have
belong
a
to mob?
certificate. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I have a certificate of Aboriginality. Yeah.
Well, there you
That's
go.
cool.
I
That's
got it,
cool.
man. Yeah.
So,
See, the
Is that a word?
2% counts, man.
Hey, yeah.
What
Yeah.
else were you?
Wow, that's cool.
What did they said?
Any
What was the
salmon
guy
in
he
there?
said? He goes, there's a cup of tea. Doesn't matter how strong it is.
Cup of tea.
No, that is so right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, hey, 2%, 50% is a pass mark, right? And it's only 1% over 49.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So-
So,
So what? 2%, and then the rest was
Oh, Scottish.
Samoan.
And, yeah, no, Samoan. Yeah, that's it. Have you seen my arms? Yeah. No. Yeah, Scottish and a little bit of. I think it's like generic English. I think. Forgotten how they worded it in there. Yeah, no.
Generic English.
plain England.
Wow,
Like
this-
Anglo?
Oh, I can't remember the words they
A
used.
Saxon?
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, saxophone player.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you
So-
get a?
Did you try?
Yeah.
Did you go?
What
I
did
did
you
it first. So, yeah, my mum's Filipino, and it picked up that I was exactly 50% Filipino. The crazy thing though with mine is, we did it a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, and my DNA changes.
Yeah, as
So
the
it'll be
technology.
like-
I think as more comes in, isn't it? You get a
As the
big database.
technology increases, my DNA changes.
Oh.
Yeah, the percentages in what ethnicities I am.
So you became something and then you
I-
lost something.
Wow.
Is it like when you hang out with old mates and you change your accent?
Yeah.
Like up to
Yeah.
like it goes.
So you were 50.
Wow.
So what you are or were 50% Filipino?
I still am 50% Filipino.
Oh, that was never going to
Yeah.
change.
yeah, that never changed.
It's a mum.
Yeah.
Quite adamant.
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. She loves karaoke. Yeah.
It's like a pageant, you know.
She does. You like karaoke.
Anyway, yeah. And what were the other parts that changed?
Chinese. I was 1% Chinese at
Oh,
one point. I
wow.
was 1% Russian at one point.
Wow.
And then just the European mixes would change. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking Spanish might be in there too because you know,
Yeah,
like
Filipino.
Filipino, Spanish. There's a lot of Sanchez.
We thought that.
But it didn't pick it up. I guess you always explain this, like there's got to be a certain time period that they
Yeah.
capture the DNA in.
Yeah.
So yes, a lot of Filipinos can come from Spanish ancestry, but
There's more to just that part of the history.
yeah,
Yeah, because we'd be 100% Kiwi. So what time period do you stop and start? Or who defines who it
distinguish
is? Yeah, yeah. So
your
I'm
Kiwiness.
6% Italian, but my last name's Moratti. You know, that's hugely Italian. And
Yeah.
I've got really good roots. Well, I'd say good. I've got strong evidence in terms of family tree lines back through Italy. And so it's been all documented.
And it's
To a village?
6%.
And it's only 6%, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
To a village? Do you know where you?
It's up in the north. Yeah, my auntie's done a big book, which I can't quote the whole thing, but she's got all the tree in there. Yeah, but yeah, only 6%. But yeah, it must be people who've come through somewhere else and then lived in Italy and they never tagged it. To I don't really know this ins and outs of the test, but
Well,
yeah.
who knows? It might be Viking.
I think
Might be a
you're
Viking.
Viking, Shannon.
We're-
Minnesota
Are
Viking.
we both Viking?
Norwegian. I think
I'm
we might be
Viking.
Norwegian. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Norwegian.
Yeah.
We might all be Viking along with you
Well,
guys.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, they were very nomadic, right? Like they
Yeah.
just
Sailed the
They were
seas. And you like
See?
boats, Shannon?
and islanders are seafaring people too,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are.
just on the other side of the world. But
You fair people, yeah.
snap on the boat, bro.
Honestly,
you
I
know.
just get a whiff of shellfish and I get gout. So I don't know if I'm a seafarer. I'm not even sure. But so just one other thing before we move off the Aboriginality. You've come on this trip and you've picked up something.
Yeah, I wanted to get a didgeridoo.
And do you want to show us? Do you have it?
Oh, I
here,
do, yeah.
I
I
just had
happen
one
to
prepared
happen
earlier.
to, yeah, happen to.
In amongst the bamboos,
exactly.
we find a didgeridoo.
So we got this this didgeridoo here.
That is impressive. I
Yeah,
just got
so-
to. This is wow. Check that out.
What's it made out of?
I'm pretty sure it's a man. I could get this wrong. A
Grey-
grey oak, grey
Isn't it
grey
grey
gum.
wood,
Oh,
grey from a gum tree?
I don't know if it was gum.
Grey
I thought it
gum?
was an oak or something. But
It's from a tree in Queensland.
Paul
Just
won't
giving you
be
the mouthpiece
very,
that we all
Ah.
you're trying to avoid.
You're going to play the
Man.
first live performance on Bigfoot.
yeah,
Press,
yeah.
like-
Well, I've actually played a couple today.
yeah.
Yeah.
But specifically on the podcast, this
Oh,
marks
yeah,
a historical day. I will just.
Well, good at my did it. So I haven't learned how to do the breathing first. You got to do that.
So,
circular
okay,
breathing.
I gotta ask. Okay, so before you, 'cause the breathing thing, because do you like make a sound like to?
Yeah, it's basically that. It's basically the guy who taught me how to do it yesterday or the day before. We're doing this for a long time. But said basically is that's with your lips to sort of sound almost. He used it describing words like a horse making that sound, like that. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's to do with getting the right pressure, and that'll change the sound. So that's what he said. Yeah, yeah. But you can, well, yeah. So since I can't circular breathe, the shows that I have been doing for the last day they've been quite short. So I can only, my songs are 4 seconds. That's all the breath I've got. Yeah.
Well, that's going back to hours upon hours upon hours of training.
Are you there in your mouth and pushing through your tongue while breathing in?
Oh, look, I'm doing it wrong at the moment, I'm sure. But once I get it right, I think it's that you're breathing out and then you store your last bit of air in your cheeks, and then that squeezes out as you take your next breath. That's what I understand it to be. Yeah. But
Is it similar to trumpet playing?
oh, I never played. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, it is.
And I've prepared this trumpet for Joe.
All right,
Oh, here we go.
that's awesome.
Wow.
I saved the best to now.
That's awesome, eh?
I know you had some.
What's crazy good though is
That was a mic issue.
is like the didgeridoo. I liken that to,
A tree?
for here down under, out there in, you hear the bagpipes, right? And it sets off emotions, right? And now with this whole embrace of like, the first people, the land owners, and with that sound, as the years roll by, it will end up, I reckon, becoming just like that. In bagpipes, you hear it when when you're in celebrations out from the mainland. A lot of people say the mainland. They're in Europe, England, and whatnot. But hearing that, it's quite. It can send you back a bit, and you hear it done. And when you hear it done collectively, then you'll be like, oh man, it could very well be like the bagpipe.
Yeah, it's an emotive instrument, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean, when I heard the bagpipes for the very first time in my whole life, maybe back, when I was maybe 11 or 10, I was like, what the heck is the sound? But then it grows on you and you hear it with all like celebrations or when there are moments, and then you start getting goosebumps. Right?
Yeah.
And now when you hear like this, you're being here now and you go, oh, crikes, you hear that sound, and then it starts to then make you feel something. So I think it's pretty cool. And once you master it, and as now with your heritage, when you guys maybe have kids, that sound itself for them will like resonate and go, it's my dad. You know what I mean? And that would bring that vibe. So when they hear it, when they celebrate, like if with Wallabies, if we're playing, or, the All Blacks hear that sound, they don't hear the Wallaby sound. They go, oh, my dad. Like when you think about maybe for a lot of people, hear the bagpipes, oh, my granddad, and that sort of stuff. I think sorry, I kind of went off on that one, but I thought that was pretty cool. And knowing now that you've been able to learn it and whatnot, the next generation is going to then go, when they think about that sound, they go, mom and dad. Or then, oh, grandma, grandpa, that kind of thing buzzes through. I just mentioned that. I thought that was pretty cool.
Maybe. So we'll fast forward to maybe just. I know that the last family can might have. There we go. Maybe I turned off your performance.
Oh no.
Let's start with your performance again. Good pickup, Joe. That would have been another. All right, one more time. Let's hear it for. Oh, let's get this right. One more time. Cam Moratti on the didgeridoo. Oh, that was stronger than before. Wow.
That was, yeah. There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, that does sound like one day it'll be like, wow.
I honestly believe that because, the bagpipes, when I first heard it ever, I was like, what in the world is this?
And now you want to march now. Almost like the Scottish side of you.
The Mull of Kintyre, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, I was going to just jump into the most recent months for both of you, Cam and Shaina, in that Dad passed away in the last couple of months. And so I'll just explain why I'm asking this particular question. It's quite a big deal. Like, it's a big thing to lose a family member. And but what can you share, I guess, from the experience for others to hear what you're going through as a young man? Like we talked about how you grew up and it was just you and Dad as the males in your home. So there'll be some memories there, some moments that you've had with them, and what can you sort of share and maybe encourage others who might be going through this difficult time and even some adults who still haven't gotten over losing their loved ones, even 10 years afterwards. And, you know, yeah, just talking from my experience, even my dad's dad talked about his life was difficult, and there are moments where he catches himself yearning for his dad, like, you know, like just, and I never get to the point where we talk about how does he overcome that, and I guess that's the question I ask, and whether or not you do or don't, how do you deal? What's the process in your mind, and what can you encourage those who have lost someone as close as their father during this period to hold on to?
Yeah. Where do you start? Yeah, look, 20th of January, suddenly lost Dad, and it was just an absolute shock. There was no warning, anything like that. And it's like one day you're walking next to someone, and then the next day you literally look over to your shoulder and they've vanished. There's nothing you can do to get them back. And it's a pain that you can't describe unless you've been through it, and it's not a club you want to be through. It's not a club you want to be in. It's not like you. I know what it's like because you don't want to be in that club, but everybody at some point is thrust into a situation where they will lose someone, and it's hard. It's really hard, and I'll just be honest about it.
Yeah.
It's still really, really raw. I think it'll be like a scar that will never heal back to what it was like before.
Yep.
I just think of, excuse me, like even cut my thumb when I was really little. Mum and Dad, we grew up with Mum and Dad, and they were market gardeners, so we harvest all the vegetables, select picks, so we cut them with machetes and trim them in the paddock and stack them away. I was little and I cut my thumb right here with a big machete. And
they gave you a machete?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Oh,
3.
well, we don't want to say this on.
Oh, yeah, right. Probably not at the right age. Yeah.
Nah, those are the days, though. Old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I cut my thumb, and it's healed, and it's functional, right? But you can still feel the pain when you.
Bit tight.
Yeah, it's tight, and there's days where it's just, and you push it, and like even sometimes you would grab it, Shaina, I'll be, oh, that's my thumb, sort of thing like that. And I guess in some ways, I think that's probably what's going to happen, is that's going to be that. I think at the moment, it's just still actually bleeding.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to process it on many different things because it's just happened so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, it's any harder than anyone else's, but for me, it happens so quick, right? And it's just such a, I guess, I don't know the word you'd use. It's a strange thing to be walking next to somebody and then to look away and they're literally vanished. They've gone. Yeah. And how you deal with that, that's
still wait and see, really.
Well, in many ways, it is certainly a slow process, day by day. And I think the one thing I would say is that it's been like He's been preparing me through my life for this moment, in the sense that when Dad died, there were certain scriptures and certain passages that the Holy Spirit quickened to my mind that I knew that I'd read ages ago over a journey, and like fitting puzzles pieces together about how His sovereignty is in control. And so that has been a real help in the sense of that
he's across it.
He's across it. I'm not across it, but he is.
He is.
And it's not my plan. And if I was to run the whole universe, it's not how I would do it.
Yeah. His foreknowledge to be able to drop those moments and banking them for this very moment.
And it's just like he was doing that, but it doesn't make it easy. And like even still talking about it, my mind in some capacity knows that Dad's died, but my emotions are still lagging. Yeah. And every time I hear it, I'm just like, has he really died?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Has he really actually died? And so I guess I want to talk about it because it's such an important thing to me, because he was my dad, you know. And I guess out of it, I want to encourage people. Again, it's really the same thing. Is ask yourself the question: what is your life? You know, what does it actually all mean? Like, we know that 10 out of 10 people will die. That's the greatest true statistic there ever will be. No one gets out. You have an appointment with death that you won't be late for and you cannot miss. It's coming, you know. And so that is the reality of life, and we know that. But it doesn't make it any easier when it hits.
No, it doesn't.
And so I don't know if I'd have any. I don't think there's just not a step-by-step process of to say, well, you do this, 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 and this when it happens. I think what I would say is that what you need to do is just be honest with God about what is actually going on in your heart. We all, quote Sean Fleming, we're all vulnerable to unbelief. We're all vulnerable to, we all have imperfect, faith. We all have, in the sense of trusting that God has got things under control. All God is looking for, and you see this in Scripture time and time again, all he's looking for is for a person to be honest with him.
Yeah.
No matter what it is.
That includes all the ugly.
It includes everything.
It's not a
everything.
refine.
Yeah, everything, to the point of, God, I don't think you've got this under control. Yeah. I don't think you've made the right decision. I don't think it's fair. He actually invites us to bring that all to him.
I believe.
Yeah.
Help my unbelief.
That's it. That's that mixture of belief and unbelief that every single person
And it's
has.
okay.
And it's okay.
Because he's God.
Yeah, it's okay. It's actually okay to be so confused and overwhelmed by what's happening when you bring it to God. Like, it's that's what he wants, you know. And so I can't sit here and tell you that I've got all the answers for it. It is you know, like,
it would be remiss to not touch on it, because
for sure. But that's what I would say is that in moments like these, where are you going to go? Really, where are you going to go? What are you going to run to? Are you going to run to the source of life, or are you going to run to the vanity of life, the chasing after the wind?
Depravity.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Yeah. Like, you know? And so it is a process. It really is a process, and it hurts. Like, it hurts, man. Yeah. It hurts. And I think that's the beauty of the body of Christ that God has set up, what Jesus died for, you know, those who would come to him. He is the invitation. Anybody who would come to him. The body that surrounds you and walks with you. And that's what, like, you want. For me, this is what I would say is, you want somebody who will stand next to you and point you to Christ. Stand next to you, walk and point you to Christ. Nobody can say anything to bring someone back. They can't. Any sort of, all I'm looking for is the body of Christ, and whoever that may be, just stand with you and just walk next to you, you know. It's, in terms of that's the simplicity of it. And everyone's different, you know. I want to talk about Dad. I want to talk about Dad all the time, like, you know. And so you can't ever, I say to people, you know, if you're thinking, should I mention Dad or should I not mention him, you know, like, because I want to talk about him. He's my dad. And there's so much more I'd talk about that there. But I would say that's the thing is just be someone that's just standing there. You don't really want advice. No. You don't want to. I know this sounds. Take this with the best intentions in my heart. You don't, in this moment right now, you don't actually want someone to say, I know what you're going through. I've X, Y, and Z have experienced this. You've experienced it 100%. It's probably just not the most helpful thing at the moment, you know. What you want is you just want someone to stand with you and just, I think it's the best thing Job's friends ever did, right? Was just sit there with him, you know.
They could have shut them out.
Yeah. And there's a time and place to open, to say something for sure. Yeah. But I think if I was going to give, and it's probably advice for people who are trying to, because people have the good intentions, right? They want to say something, and it's like, oh, what should I have said? You know, you know, how you're going. Well, obviously, clearly not good, but they don't know how to approach it. A good thing to say, just in a helpful thing, is actually, it's helpful to just approach people and just say, you know, it's good to see you, rather than how you're going, because that just leaves it a bit neutral. Good to see you, you know, and just test the waters and see how they are. But you cannot underestimate someone who is just there, present, and they're like, hey man, I'm praying for you. You just go, that's it. I don't want a little mini, like, how to sort of guide. Yeah. That's not helpful, you know. It's just not helpful.
Yeah.
Because it's just not how we're made. And we're all going to grieve differently. And so I guess that's where I'm sort of at the moment, in the sense of just taking it day by day. And, like, I'm not a person with a super faith. I'm not a super Christian, because they don't exist. No one is, you know.
Yeah.
It's a false thing, you know. I have unbelief. I have times of doubt. I have all of those things there. And I'm literally in a moment like Peter, who can sink in a moment by just looking at everything around you. And then the only thing I've got is, who am I going to go to? Who's actually going to pull me out of this? And that's Christ. That's Jesus Christ. And I say that, hear that. You know, I want people to hear that, you know. Because that's the only reason I really... How do you go on? You know?
And I guess a time like this reinforces that very notion that you've had from the start, even more so, because you now have some reps with this experience. Joey, I know that you lost Dad a couple of years ago. Any of this resonate with you? How did you... we've never really talked about your dad, and I'm even aware that, Shaina, your dad passed away too. My dad's still alive, but any of this stuff,
Yeah, no,
you
look,
know?
absolutely.
What does it do, and how do you navigate?
There's no one way to navigate. There really isn't. And the only truth that comes with grief is you do it in your own way. And you can only grieve the way you can grieve. And in that is time. That's the only thing that because, like, as you were saying, like, you know, you don't want to hear someone go, oh, you know, I understand what you're going through. It's like one thing that I remember I did say to my wife was, like, you can read a book about something and you can hear about something, but you will never understand it in the way the next person will understand it. You know, no one can ever walk in your shoes because they're your shoes. So when you grieve your way, but in your time. And in that time, God is sitting there in that time. So I try to make sure that I'm never the one that's going, oh, I understand what you're going through. Because I don't want to hear it either. Because no one understands what I'm going through. The same way I will never understand what you're going through. Because those are your shoes that you're putting on. But the only thing that stays true is we grieve in our very own way. And no one should be telling us how we should be grieving. And you don't need to hear it. All you need to understand is that you feel it. And it's yours. That's your emotion. That's your feelings. And they are true because they're yours. They're true to you because they're your truth. That's your truth, is how you feel. And being able to go, hey, my old man did this, my old man did that. It's, oh, I miss doing this, I miss doing that. That sort of stuff can never go wrong. You can never go wrong with that. And like you were saying, you know, conversations about...
It's like taboo for some people, but you just go...
It does, because people worry that they might... You know,
they have good intentions.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. You know, people do have good intentions.
Yeah.
But I guess this is why we're talking about it, is that people can learn. You know.
Yeah.
Is that
I think the advice that you would give to anybody, it would be to the ones that are not grieving, and that's the only advice you could give as someone that's grieving. You can only give advice to someone that is not grieving, and
That's a good point.
and the advice that you would give would be, as you were saying, just be present. You know, be in that moment. Be in that now, and God is in that time. That's all it is. He's in that time. He's in that now. He's in that tomorrow. He's in that yesterday. So just remember that part, and don't tell people that you understand because you're not in their shoes. Sorry, I dropped my voice down a little bit because I went Megatron on that. So, but that's my part on that. And you have lost dad,
Shaina, Had you any of this become giving you sort of a flashback, familiarity?
Definitely watching Cameron's grief definitely has given me some flashbacks. I think the hard thing with watching someone grieve, and you yourself have been through not a similar situation, but through grief yourself, is seeing that depth of suffering and knowing you can't do anything. It's knowing that he's hurting so much, and you go, this is a road you walk by yourself. This is between you and God now. There's nothing I can do or say that's gonna reprieve or help this grief that you're going through.
That's such a wise thing you started off saying there, like, because whilst it's a similar event, there's nothing similar about it in terms of emotions and rawness and timing and it's and I guess that's what gives people this false sense of I know what you're going through situation. It's like, no, you have no idea. Different set of circumstances, your dad wasn't my dad, or your relative wasn't my relative. This is a very unique situation, and as much as people want to say it's similar, it's not similar at all, apart from the loss, Wow. And so God is a central focus, obviously, of this time, and I know not just in this time for you guys. He's always a central focus. Yeah. And how long ago did Dad pass away for you?
I was 13 when Dad he suddenly passed away. Yeah. And so it was a different circumstance, a different situation. Being 13, you're already going through a lot. Yeah, it's tough. I think grief really gives you the rawness of life, in that you feel these huge emotions that you wouldn't feel in any other circumstance. Going, what is life, and why am I feeling like this? And this is so painful to go through.
That's huge. That's huge. And it's funny. I know the day will come when I'll get a phone call, and it's not a day I look forward to, but it's an inevitable one. 10 out of 10. And so in the meantime, I guess, it's about making the most of the moments you have. But yeah, on that note,
well, just one thing, just to jump in there. Sorry, I just wanted to I don't know if you'd say the word clarify. Like, I know exactly what you're saying, Shaina, but you have been instrumental in still walking with me. I know exactly what you're saying, and so is family as well. So is the body. So, just to acknowledge that there's been it's just been a whole lot of people just walking together. And there's been family and friends, and so and there's been some just instrumental people and family and friends that have just walked it through. But I know what you mean. You can't come on the inside of my heart and take away that pain. I know exactly what you mean, but you have been, and you have been instrumental in us journeying along, and that's a blessing from God that I have, Shaina, that I have family like that, because we know no one's far from suffering, in many forms, whether it be health, grief, stress, anxiety, whatever it is, just you don't understand fully what they're going through, but I think that a big thing is understand that no one is like they are for no reason, and that if you actually balance the scales in someone else's favor and understand that someone is either suffering or close to it, you will actually approach that situation a bit differently. You should. You should. So but sorry, just to add that in.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I definitely understand why you would jump in and clarify that. So you're here you're here until Tuesday, and you're heading back to
Shebang-a-bang.
It was Shebang-a-bang. Do you remember the
Shebang-a-bang.
advert on TV where I think it was a Combank ad? Another
ASB or comment? I don't know.
I think it was, yeah,
can't
and they were giving away a trip to Shebang-a-bang. So if you bank with, actually I shouldn't say the bank name, like, I just,
Cut that out.
there's a bank in Australia who were advertising competitors offer up prizes and gifts and whatnot to bank with them, but they're slightly undercutting you. And so there's a guy who plays out this pitch he does to the board. We'll get them signed in, and they can win a trip to Shebang-a-bang, and they point to a picture of the world map, and it's New Zealand. Like, no one knows the name.
I can't believe I don't know this ad. How do we not know this ad? How do I not know this ad?
We'll give them a trip to Shebang.
Okay, now,
And it's like the play on the fact that New Zealand sometimes appears and sometimes doesn't appear on a world map, and no one knows what it is, but it's a state of Australia.
Shebang-a-bang, the southernmost point of Queensland.
Yeah, you be back. Will you come home again? We've established that you belong here in Australia with your Aboriginality.
Oh man, that's only 2% though, isn't it?
Well,
I'm
should
20%
reflect-
Scottish.
2% still more than 1%.
Well,
your
yeah.
time here should reflect 2% of your age. And
Probably had done 2%, have I?
have you 3? No. Oh, you probably have. Yeah.
Just about.
So who actually
Yeah,
be
yeah.
convincing to come back?
Oh, and what, to come visit?
If you guys were to come back to live.
Oh, to live.
Mum's coming back with you.
Oh wow.
Hey?
Yeah. Well, mum. Yeah, mum. More than welcome to come.
Whole family.
Man, I don't know if you convince everyone to come over.
But out of you two, with you two, who would need more convincing to come back to live here?
Both of us.
Yeah.
Probably more you, but
You're back in the flow, right?
Oh, yeah. I haven't really.
it would have to be a real life change. Well, it would be
Yeah.
a real life change to move to Australia.
Yeah, I just at the moment I don't know. Like at
You're
the
good.
moment, it's
I was just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I was just throwing it out there. It's
Yeah.
like if there was
Yeah.
like, hey, let's move back. It would be like, which one would be needing the
Oh,
convincing? It would be of you two. But if it's both of you, there's like, you're quite happy with where things are at the minute, right? So
Yeah, definitely not going to change things.
Because you're both teachers.
Yeah.
You're engineering and broadcasting to teaching.
I love it.
The teaching, and you're pretty comfortable where you are. You've bought a house and a home, and you want to give a shout out to your school?
Oh, yeah.
What do they call you, Mr. Moratti?
Are they?
Mr. M?
Some don't even know my name. They just call me Mister. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah.
And I know that you've brushed up on your te reo. You featured in a prominent. I don't have the
Do we
picture.
have
Actually.
a-
I'm gonna,
Oh.
no, I'll put it post.
Oh,
I'll put it post.
okay.
You'll be up there, so I'll get you to talk to it. There's an article
Interesting.
of this young gentleman who undertook a te reo classes and speaks proficient.
No, I'm not proficient. No.
How?
no.
But more proficient than I would. Like, I'm nowhere near the proficiency that you're able to address your classes with. Like,
Oh, greetings, and you can pick up a little bit, but
what's
no,
your
not
understandings
proficient. Oh,
as well.
yeah, can get a bit of a gist of things. Sometimes the
I would speed this up. So
one, but what did the okay?
Oh,
Okay. Hmm.
man, like you
On the settle.
Yeah.
No, okay. Well,
as proficient.
I'm doing it, but sure. Yes. Yeah. Terrible, but
How did the article come about?
I just think the
Get your
Yeah, I don't actually know.
poses, like,
yeah.
very casual, like leaning into.
Have you seen the poses?
I have.
Oh no.
I have.
Shana was having a great time watching behind the camera. Yeah.
I'll show you some behind the scenes.
Yeah. So tell us, how'd you get roped in, and what was it? Were you happy with the article in the end, or
And I have to go back and read it.
there was no
I've
like,
been misquoted in the paper a couple times, so I was very reluctant to do it.
yeah,
Yeah, like real, just made to look like
been there.
quite arrogant in the way that they put it across. Yeah, I was really scarred in my sim form year from the papers because they just wrote it in a way. I wrote the article and they inserted text into it.
No way.
Yeah,
actual?
in
Right.
brackets. So it read quite prideful in the sense of this is my name in brackets. It just didn't read well.
Okay.
I didn't put that in there. Like it was just, and so I was really annoyed with them for that. Yeah. And so I was pretty reluctant to want to to want to do this one, and I pushed it to the side, and then they just hunted me down. Took photos of me when I wasn't watching. No, I don't.
I got stumped once by was she a reporter? She was a radio reporter, actually. I think I told you the same. She said, can I book like 5-10 minutes and we'll have a chat about God and the church? And I was like, sat down with her. She started recording. She said, what do you think of the way Kevin Rudd's treating you Kiwis? What do you think the Labour Party's doing the Kiwis here who have a stateless,
Wow.
it was just like a stateless nation. You guys have no one to bow down to. I was like, and I gave her some sort of wishy answer because I was on the back foot.
Oh, man.
And she had
Yeah.
me audio bite.
That's like being put on the spot for me, eh? Now that is the classic Australian stitch up, isn't it? Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
just respond with between you and God.
Man.
Just respond.
I was like, excuse me? I don't know Kevin Rudd.
Oh my
No, I do know Kevin Rudd, but what has it got to do with? Anyway, you got me, lady. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add before we have a play out of tonight's episode?
Of Home and Away
All right.
and Waitara.
Anything else you want to add? Actually, what we normally do is we have a section at the end where, man, what we have today in terms of technology will live on far beyond, our existence here. And so, is there any pearls of wisdom, one or two bits and pieces that you want to maybe communicate to future family, or each other? Those sorts of things, like, to come back and reference, in future with YouTube being forever. Well, we'd hope that it's forever. It's a lot of information to go missing overnight. But, is there anything that you'd like to say? Or maybe even to family at this particular point who might be watching this that might need a bit of encouragement?
I don't know. I haven't thought about this. I'm sure there is, but I can't think of anything.
There's probably lots, to be honest. It's really hard to pinpoint one thing. I think we've touched on some really important things. Yeah, I just come back to that same question in James where I started, I think. And it's just,
What is life?
what is your life? Like, ask yourself that question because, and continue to read the rest of the chapter. And I would say that.
I don't know how that happened.
It's a lot of ink. Yeah. We are really just sojourners and exiles on this earth. And there is some great joy and happiness and incredible times to be had here, for sure. And I think it's important to always remember, just like it says in the book of Hebrews, that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob were journeying through. Could have gone back to their homelands, didn't. But they weren't looking forward to, they were looking forward to a promised land. And they weren't looking forward to necessarily Israel being a place of a safe haven for, heaven on earth. It actually says they were looking forward to a heavenly dwelling, like living in heaven. And so I think it's having I don't know how you would do this, like, physically, but it really is, I think, having one eye in front of what's here right now, in terms of, like, what's in front of you,
What's happening?
being in the moment, understanding that you're next to people that really matter and that they have value and they have hurts and pains and joy, and, that people are people and we're just people. We're literally all the same, we are literally all the same, So living in that moment of realizing that every single person is created in the image of God and what that actually means, with one eye and the other eye fixed on eternity.
Yeah.
And I think as you journey through life, I think that will help you.
No, sorry, I just was daydreaming a bit there. No, I think I'm more freaked out that technology does last forever.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Like, ugh.
I think one of the things that I commonly, I don't do it through technology, but I talk to my kids about it. Just pursue God, pursue Jesus, continually pursue Him. Forget what I say, pursue Him. Like, I might give you some good advice, but I'm human, and I know it's hard to believe, but I might give you some bad advice. But at the end of the day, pursue Jesus, that you might love Him so much more than you can. Like, you could just exert all that energy pursuing Christ. And I think when all said and done, you'll be in a much better place when you do the sums at the end. Yeah, much better place. yeah, thanks for sharing. Thanks
Man,
for sharing with us
Thanks
tonight.
for
And
thanks for having us. That is a good way to wrap it up.
do you want to play us out? Like just one more.
Do you have
One more,
do you have a request?
You are booked out. What's the Men at Work tune?
Oh, land down under.
Land Down Under.
Yeah,
Here we
yeah.
go. Land Down Under.
Well, you're gonna
for
have
those of you
to.
listening.
You have to do the drums to Joe. You on the
What's
drums? Hey, this is the live version, all right? It's a little bit different. A little bit.
Ah, we're going live.
Differently. That was strong, man. Well done.
I just had to practice during the podcast. I got a bit better.
All right, put this together. Yeah.
That was awesome.
It's the pressure, eh? If you can get the right pressure, you can really.